Hi, Brenda. Thank you for coming back in today. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
How have things been?
Pretty good.
Good. I know before we had discussed some issues you've been having with depression lately. And today I want to talk about maybe challenging those core beliefs that have led to your depression. Um, so we talked about this previously, but what would you say your core belief that is causing the certain behaviors or consequences in your life?
I think it all stems from insecurity.
Insecurity?
hmm
Well, I would like to show you this little activity here. This is based on cognitive behavioral therapy, and I just want to go through this with you, and maybe we can find ways to help you work through those core beliefs
Okay.
and challenge your irrational thoughts.
Okay.
Um, so, for example, I want to explain that you'd probably know this, but we can all experience the same experiences, but it's how we perceive those experiences that challenge what happens in our lives. So within the sheet, you will see just kind of a scenario, an example of what I would like to do with you. So the situation says you meet a new person and think about asking them to go out for coffee. So if someone's core belief is that they are not worthy, um, through these lens, their thought is, why would they ever go out with me? So, what ends up happening, their behavior in turn is that they don't ask the person to go to coffee with them because they feel not worthy.
hmm
Another scenario for someone who may feel worthy is that they think we might have fun if we go out together. So in turn, their behavior is they ask the person to go out to coffee with them because they feel worthy enough.
hmm
So I want to kind of get you thinking of your negative core beliefs that we can challenge. So what are some thoughts that you've had before that stop you from doing things you may want to do?
Failure. I'm afraid that I won't be able to succeed, or someone won't like me or what I have to offer.
Okay, so what happens because of those thoughts? Do you see how those may play into a consequence for you?
Yeah, I just don't try.
You don't
It
try.
makes me just not even want to try.
So why don't you give me an example of a time that this has happened? Maybe I know you talked about jobs, looking for jobs lately, and there's maybe certain jobs that
I don't feel like I'm good enough to do. I feel like there's certain jobs I'm qualified for, but I still don't feel like I could do as good as someone else. So I sometimes won't try
so in turn you just don't even apply.
for fear of failure.
Okay. So this is where the challenge part kind of comes in. Let's use that for example. What are three pieces of evidence that can challenge that belief? What might make that not true? What are some good things that you see about yourself that may not actually be the case that you would fail?
I feel like I'm a people person and I'm a fast learner. And I think I could help teach other people too. So I think if I was to actually do it and succeed, that I could show others how to do it too.
Okay, so going back to those jobs, if you were wanting to apply for one of those jobs and say your thought process was based on those three components, what would be the end behavior?
I'd probably get the job.
So you already know you would apply. That wasn't even what you said, apply. You would get the job.
Yeah.
So see how just changing the way that you think about that changed the behavior in the end result.
I understand.
So another thing I would like to look at with you are some common unhealthy thought processes that a lot of people have. And these are just irrational thoughts that we don't even realize that we have. We all do it. Um, so do any of these kind of look familiar to you? Just you can look at the examples here.
Yes.
What's one that sticks out? Okay. So thinking things are more permanent than they really are. So it says not forgiving yourself for mistakes. I'll never live us down. Failing to remember that negative situations will let up or ever get better. I think that is a really common one. I've heard you say some of those things. So that's actually an unhealthy thought process. So what do you think makes that unhealthy?
Guess I give up before I start. I always think it's always going to end up in failure, so I don't tell myself I'm going to fail.
And then in turn,
I fail.
but it's more because you didn't.
I didn't think I could do it. I didn't tell myself I could do it. I just told myself I couldn't.
So you didn't even try before you even got to it.
No.
Are there any other ones on here that look familiar to you?
Magical thinking.
Okay. And magical thinking, you want to read that one for me?
Telling self everything would be better if I was wealthier, taller, thinner, better looking, etc.
So what's an adjective in that you would complete that sentence with?
Educated. It would matter if I was more educated or consistent.
Consistent. Tell me more about that. What do you mean by consistent?
If I was just train myself to do things whether I feel like I'm going to fail or pass, no matter what, just to keep doing it instead of just feeling like I'm going to fail and stopping. I just stayed consistent with what I knew when I first started and stayed with it.
Okay. So what do you think? What do you think contributes though to that consistency? What is stopping you from being consistent?
Consistency, just trying to keep telling myself every day that I would do it, and just slack, get lazy.
So this is what's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. A lot of times when we have this, core belief, we don't even try. In turn, our behavior and consequences show that to be true, but it's only because we've set ourselves up to think that.
Mm-hmm.
So we've actually fulfilled that prophecy. So good. Okay, I wanted you to take a look at that. Okay, so another real quick exercise I would like to kind of go through with you is restructuring some frustrations about events or things you've had in the past. This is a good way to look at it, and I'll give you a copy of this to take home with you. So let's just run through one of these together. So let's talk about a frustrating event. Something maybe recently that's happened to you that triggered frustration. What's something that you can think of lately?
Applying for a job, and my background check came back with something on it, and I knew I didn't have anything on it. So I was really just ready to give up again.
Mm-hmm.
Till I got the letter that said that they just had the wrong social security number. Turns out I was dead.
Oh no. So you just do you feel like you jumped the gun on that?
Yes, I feel like I was
It triggered you to go automatically to that core belief.
To just give up.
You went automatically because that was your first instinct, that core belief.
Yeah.
Okay. So we kind of already talked about this, but let's skip over here to the next step, the interpretation. So what was your self-talk in that when that happened? What did you say?
Another time I failed. I'm never going to get ahead. That's never going to happen for me. This is my lot in life. I'm that girl.
Okay, and so how did that make you feel when you started thinking like that? What was your feeling?
Just hopeless.
Hopeless. That's a strong word.
Mm-hmm.
And so what did you find yourself doing? What was your first response behavior-wise when you felt hopeless and had that feeling of self-doubt again?
I just wanted to give up and stop trying and just not go on. I didn't have another way to go on. So I don't know what I would do if I couldn't work. I don't know what else I could do.
So in turn, your behavior was you just didn't do anything?
I just gave up.
Because it felt
hopeless.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what do you feel that this one's we're going to kind of dive real deep into that thought. What do you think maybe your hidden fear is? And I think you've kind of mentioned that feeling afraid to fail, probably.
Just failing, yes.
Okay. So jumping over here real quickly. So a lot of times when we have these hidden fears and these feelings, they contribute from something. They've started somewhere. Um, so let's try to connect that, what's happening now, with maybe things that have happened before. So this next step says childhood memories and wounds. So whenever you had that sense of failure, what did that remind you of your childhood?
Always failing. Always feeling like I was never good enough. And I didn't feel like I've succeeded at all.
So when did you get this feeling in your childhood?
I remember in Head Start, I couldn't write my name, and I had to stay in every recess till I learned how to write my name, and I was the only one in the class.
Wow.
So it started then.
So you remember that from Head Start.
I remember that.
So that must have impacted you.
It did. I knew I was different. I knew I felt different.
Head Start.
Uh-huh.
You're talking about something that happened that long ago, and see how it has come back and played into your adult life, and you probably didn't even realize that.
No, I didn't, but I know that's the first time I felt that way. I knew that's the first time I felt like I had failed.
Wow. Okay, so this next thing says your childhood feelings when that happened. You felt
Useless and hopeless and less than.
another key word you used as a child feeling that way was hopeless, which is the same thing you just told me now. So it says childhood protections and coping. You learned to cope and protect yourself by doing what when this thing happened when you were young?
Making a joke about it. Just making it funny so no one would actually look at how stupid I was.
Interesting. Do you think you do that now?
Yep.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
What are some examples when you do that now? Do you do it?
I just hide behind humor anytime. Just simple as that coming back that way. It was just, I just made a joke about it like it was just me because I didn't want anybody to really see that I felt like I felt.
Have you ever made that connection before?
No.
Okay, that was just curious. Okay, so this last part here says your hidden need or desire. It's usually something that was not met as a child, and it's not being met now. So you develop this need to be with someone who would
Encourage me.
Encourage you.
And make me feel worth it.
So you feel that way now, and that started possibly.
Yes. I still feel that way. I felt that way then.
Wow. So, Brenda, do you see how we have connected all of these dots from, what's happening now in the present and how that starts all the way back from your childhood?
Yes, now I do. Okay.
So, I'm just going to give you a little bit of homework to take home. And I'm going to give you also this irrational thoughts pattern, the unhealthy thought pattern sheet to take home and look over so that you can, cognitively see these thought patterns when they are occurring. And you can try to challenge those, kind of like we did here. I'm going to give you what's called a thought record. This thought record breaks down situations. So when you find yourself reverting back to that core belief, I want you to pull this out at least 2 times a week and talk about the situation. Talk about your automatic thought because of that situation and what emotions that brought up for you. And then what is rational about this? What actually supports that belief or that thought? And then tell me what has happened to prove that this thought is maybe not true.
Okay.
And then I want you to think of an alternative thought instead, a different way to look at it. And then tell me your current mood.
Okay.
Your mood rating. Can you do that?
Sure.
Well, thank you. I hope you have, kind of had some awareness.
I have. Things I didn't realize. I appreciate it.
Okay. And then next time, I want you to just bring in this thought record, and we'll kind of go over it and see some of the things you've been witnessing lately and noticing.
Okay.
Well, thank you for meeting with me, Brenda.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.